In a world where superheroes are revered as paragons of virtue and power, what if the situation suddenly flips, revealing heroes as merciless figures controlled by a powerful corporation? Directed by Eric Kripke and released in 2019, The Boys is a popular American superhero TV series based on the comic book of the same name by Garth Ennis and Darick Robertson. It contains a gripping story about a vigilant group who aims to expose the atrocities of superheroes. With its dark humor, intense action sequences, and thought-provoking narrative, The Boys has earned fans worldwide. Its unapologetic critique of superhero mythology, coupled with unpredictable plot twists, makes it a standout in the genre. Each season delves intensely into the murky world they inhabit. The Boys continues to redefine what it means to be a hero in a world where power corrupts absolutely. Starting with its origin, the Season 1. The series began with two kids, wide-eyed with excitement, discussing their favorite superheroes. Their youthful banter filled the air, blissfully unaware of the impending danger hurtling towards them, a runaway vehicle careening out of control. In a heart-stopping moment, just as disaster seemed inevitable, a figure descended from the sky. Madeleine Stillwell, the epitome of grace and power, intercepted the truck with a force that defied physics. She pierced through the vehicle's exterior, confronting the burglars within who were attempting to escape with stolen money. Unfazed by their weapons, someone's laser eyes melted their firearms and had them down the road. The one with the laser, Homelander, draped in the American flag, appeared on the scene. His invulnerability to gunfire and swift action saved the two boys from harm, rescuing them from the clutches of the desperate thieves. It was a spectacle that cemented the superheroes as protectors of the innocent in the eyes of the public. Meanwhile, in a quiet shop, Huey's life took a tragic turn. His girlfriend, Robin, eager to discuss their future together, was suddenly and violently struck by A-Train, a superhero known for his incredible speed. The collision was catastrophic, leaving Huey only with Robin's hands and her body shattered everywhere. His world irreparably changed. Elsewhere, in Des Moines, Iowa, a young woman practiced her extraordinary strength in the early hours of the morning. Starlight, as she introduced herself, possessed the ability to emit blinding flashes of light. Her aspiration was simple yet profound, to use her powers to make the world a safer place. While Starlight trained diligently to fulfill her dreams, Huey struggled with grief and anger. The superheroes, including A-Train himself, dismissed Robin's death callously. In an attempt to cover up the incident, the company offered Huey a bribe, urging him to remain silent. Disillusioned and heartbroken, Huey's resentment towards the heroes grew, especially after his own father suggested he accept the hush money. Amidst these personal tragedies, the influential Vought family wielded their power confidently. At a press conference, they flaunted their global influence, showcasing their superheroes as icons of security and strength. The Deep, one of the elite heroes, introduced Starlight as she'd officially joined the ranks of the Seven, Vought's most revered superheroes. As Starlight navigated the complexities of her newfound fame, Huey grappled with his grief and a growing desire for justice. A-Train's omnipresent image haunted him everywhere he turned, a constant reminder of the injustice that had shattered his life. The Deep guided Starlight through her initiation, promising her acceptance into the group despite her reservations. However, Starlight's hopes were shattered when the Deep exploited her vulnerability. He coerced her into a compromising situation, using her childhood crush on him to manipulate her. Deeply shaken, Starlight struggled to reconcile her idealistic aspirations with the harsh realities of the superhero world. Meanwhile, Huey encountered a mysterious man named Butcher, who claimed to be from the FBI. Butcher, harboring a deep-seated vendetta against the superheroes, sought Huey's help in his mission to expose and confront them. Witnessing firsthand the callous disregard of A-Train and the other heroes for Robin's death, Huey was incensed and conflicted. Despite Butcher's urging, Huey initially hesitated to join his crusade. However, a chance encounter with Starlight at a moment of vulnerability forged an unexpected connection between them. Empowered by this newfound resolve, Huey agreed to assist Butcher in his plan. He successfully planted a bug on A-Train during a meeting, hoping to uncover the truth about the superhero's actions behind closed doors. However, their covert operation was jeopardized when the invisible hero, Translucent, discovered Huey's espionage. Translucent tracked Huey back to his workplace, uncovering the bug hidden in the restroom. Cornered and threatened, Huey faced imminent danger until Butcher intervened. A brutal confrontation ensued, culminating in a desperate struggle where blood was shed before Butcher and Huey managed to incapacitate Translucent using improvised electrical cables. With Translucent subdued and confined in the trunk of their car, Huey grappled with the realization that Butcher wasn't who he claimed to be. That uneasy alliance strained by deception, Huey questioned his own motivations and the morality of their crusade against the superheroes. In another part of the world, aboard a private jet, a child's innocent delight at seeing Homelander fly alongside them turned to horror as he used his laser vision to cut the aircraft in half. As the series continued, the intricate web of secrets, ambitions, and betrayals among the superheroes and those seeking to expose them grew ever more tangled. The head of marketing comes to Starlight and tells her they're gonna put her on her first mission as a hero. Starlight is swiftly introduced to a team of analysts whose sole task is to predict crime patterns. Their meticulous work pinpoints where and when criminal activities will happen next. Despite her eagerness to work alone, a habit formed from her past experiences, Starlight is paired with the Deep, a situation she dreads. Reluctantly, Starlight and the Deep set off for the docks, where the analysts predict a crime will take place. The Deep, acting like everything is fine, grates on Starlight's nerves. Trying to assert his dominance, the Deep receives a sharp warning. If he even comes near her, she'll blind him with her powers. After taking down the bad guys, they are accosted with cameras right in their face. The Deep is used to this, but she's not, and she isn't really liking her celebrity status. Starlight finds the attention uncomfortable and intrusive. On her way home, she grapples with the reality that the superhero gig isn't what she imagined. Suddenly, she sees a girl about to get so she takes actions in her own hands. She beats them. Unfortunately, somebody was filming her and put it on the internet and recognized her. Her cover is completely blown but got the marketing department scolding her for beating up those men. The girl she saved wasn't seen in the video because she ran, so it caused a misunderstanding in the mass media. Everything they do is marketed towards the public, and even if they're trying to do the right thing, it doesn't really matter. Meanwhile, a subplot unfolds involving CEO Madeleine Stillwell and Homelander. It's revealed that Madeleine didn't order Homelander to shoot down the jet carrying the mayor of Baltimore and his son. Homelander, using his supersonic hearing, overheard the mayor's blackmail attempt and took it upon himself to act. The Deep brings evidence to Madeleine, laser marks on the plane, that confirm Homelander's involvement. Confronted, Homelander reasserts his dominance over the Deep, reminding him who's truly in charge. To the public, the jet crash is attributed to engine failure, but the truth is a dark secret. Homelander, the supposed paragon of virtue, committed murder. His twisted sense of affection towards Madeleine drives his obsession to protect her at all costs. Meanwhile, Madeleine is singularly focused on getting her superheroes into the military, envisioning a privatized force under her control. The US government says they would pay her to dish out her superheroes to war. When she starts talking as one congressman from Oklahoma, she realizes that there are going to be struggles with this. Madeleine Stillwell sets up a blackmail situation where that congressman is having with a girl, but the girl is a shapeshifter and she blindfolds the congressman and starts having with him. The shapeshifter shifts into the body of a guy and starts snapping incriminating photos. With nothing he can do, the congressman is going to put the bill to the floor to try to get a privatized military with the superheroes. Elsewhere, Billy Butcher and Huey struggle with their captive, Translucent, whom they initially believed to be dead. Realizing he's still alive, they transport him to an abandoned building with the help of a French guy known for his expertise in killing. Despite their best efforts, bullets, electrocution, nothing proves to be working. Billy ends up heading off and talking to a former colleague of his who works to try to get a file on Translucent to try to figure out what his weak point is, but Billy doesn't end up getting the file. To make it worse, Translucent is chipped, so Huey has to put up some foil to block the signal, on top of the fact that they're still to figure out how exactly they'll dispose him. Huey, though, doesn't have any real interest in killing him. He realized that all he wants to do is get justice for his girlfriend. He asks him where was the train going that night, and Translucent warned him about their disadvantages once Homelander found them. Defeated, Huey is now sitting with the French guy trying to figure out exactly how they're still going to kill this guy, and the French guy is a great idea, we'll just take and get ideas. The French guy, brainstorming while on draws inspiration from a turtle on TV, realizing they need to attack from within. They electrocute Translucent again, knock him out, and implant a bomb inside him. Translucent, terrified, starts divulging information, revealing A-Train's connection to someone named Poplar. While it's great that he's finally giving up information, Homelander is flying around their base because the chip is going off in the area. Billy and the Frenchie have an idea to blow up that other warehouse to distract him and escape. While they're waiting for that to happen, they're kind of getting interrogated a little bit by Homelander. As Homelander circles their hideout, alerted by Translucent's chip, Billy and the French guy devise a distraction by blowing up another warehouse. Their plan works momentarily, but Translucent escapes his cage, walking towards Hughie and pleading for his life. In a tense moment, Hughie hesitates, then presses the detonator. Translucent explodes, leaving Hughie drenched in his blood and guts. Starlight was certain her decision to help the woman without her costume on was going to get her fired. She braced herself for a reprimand, but instead, something unexpected happened. Her popularity surged. The public admired her bravery and selflessness, and soon she was trending on social media for all the right reasons. Vought International, always quick to spot an opportunity, saw the potential to capitalize on her newfound popularity. The marketing team decided it was time to rebrand Starlight, aiming to make her image even more appealing to the masses. They envisioned something sexier, more daring, and significantly different from what Starlight had in mind for herself. She pushed back, arguing that she wanted to stay true to her original image, one that was wholesome and inspiring to young girls. However, Vought was relentless, threatening to fire her if she didn't comply. Faced with no other choice, Starlight reluctantly agreed to wear the new, more revealing outfit, even though it went against everything she believed in. Meanwhile, A-Train, the self-proclaimed fastest man in the world, was preparing for an upcoming race against another speedster named Shockwave. The event was designed as a publicity stunt, meant to showcase A-Train's unmatched speed and boost Vought's ratings. However, beneath his confident exterior, A-Train was terrified. He knew that if he lost to Shockwave, it could mean the end of his career with the Seven. The fear of losing his prestigious position gnawed at him, adding immense pressure as the race day approached. In another part of the city, Hughie returned home, feeling a storm of emotions after his recent life-altering experiences. His room, still covered in superhero posters and memorabilia, felt like a mockery of his pain. In a fit of rage and frustration, he trashed the room, tearing down posters and smashing figurines. He grabbed some clothes, told off his father, and stormed out. Hughie realized he couldn't live at home anymore. He was now a superhero killer, and the naive adoration for superheroes that once defined his life was now a painful reminder of his loss and his mission. Next, we are introduced to Mother's Milk, a legendary figure working at a juvenile center. His reputation precedes him, and his presence commands respect. Then Billy Butcher shows up unannounced, hoping to recruit him for their cause. At first, Mother's Milk is reluctant. His wife had recently returned, and things were finally going well for him. He references Mallory and her grandkids, the same names Butcher mentioned to the CIA director, indicating a painful history. Butcher, however, insists that this time will be different. He then reveals that he killed Translucent, a fact that piques Mother's Milk's interest. However, there's a catch. Mother's Milk agrees to join Butcher on one condition. He doesn't want to work with Frenchie. Butcher lies, claiming he hasn't seen Frenchie in years. This lie is quickly exposed when Mother's Milk encounters Frenchie almost immediately, leading to a brief but intense fight. Despite their differences, they manage to set aside their animosity as they arrive outside Poplar's apartment. Disguised as cable guys, they install a virus into her electronics, allowing them to surveil her. Inside Poplar's apartment, A-Train and Poplar are intimately involved. A-Train, desperate for an edge, mentions needing more Compound V. Poplar warns him that it might be too dangerous, reminding him of the last time he used it, when he accidentally killed Hughie's girlfriend, Robin, by running right through her. This conversation gives the boys a crucial lead. They need to get their hands on Compound V to understand its power and potential dangers. Meanwhile, Homelander and Queen Maeve are in the midst of a high-stakes situation, breaking up a live shooter scenario in a high-rise building. As they methodically take down the shooter, they casually discuss Translucent's mysterious disappearance and the absurdity of A-Train's upcoming race. It's revealed that Maeve and Homelander used to date, adding a layer of personal tension to their partnership. Homelander's brutality is on full display as he punches a hole through the shooter's chest, a chilling reminder of his lethal capabilities. At the highly publicized A-Train versus Shockwave race, the boys make their move to steal Compound V. Amidst the chaos, Hughie bumps into Starlight and recognizes her as Annie, the girl he had comforted on a bench during a bad day. They grab a beer together, and Hughie realizes that Starlight hates being in the Seven. He starts to fall for her, finding solace in her genuine kindness and vulnerability. He asks her out on a date, sensing a shared disillusionment with their respective lives. Unfortunately, their plans are thwarted when A-Train manages to secure the Compound V and wins the race against Shockwave, thereby retaining his spot in the 7. Poplo, furious that A-Train didn't bring her to the race, takes some Compound V in a fit of rage. Supercharged, she accidentally kills her landlord in a highly and gruesome manner. The boys, watching from their surveillance setup, are unable to intervene in time. Billy Butcher, however, sees an opportunity in this chaos. He plans to use the incident to blackmail Poplo, adding another layer to their complex web of schemes. Meanwhile, the Deep's dolphin friend discovers a box with Translucent's body parts and shows it to Homelander and Madeline. It sets the stage for further intrigue and tension within the 7. A flashback was revealed that Butcher once had a wife. The details of what happened to her remain shrouded in mystery. Upon waking from this memory, Butcher heads to his breakfast table and watches a video of his wife nervously sitting on a park bench before walking away. This melancholic ritual seems to be how he starts every day. After his somber morning routine, Butcher heads to the CIA office of the deputy director, the same woman whose house he previously broke into. Then he tells her about Compound V, but without hard evidence, there is little she can do. Despite Butcher and his team's efforts to find proof, they get dead ends. Butcher, growing impatient, calls Poplo, angrily demanding results. They've staked out Chinatown but haven't seen Compound V or A-Train. Poplo mentions that whenever A-Train visits her, he brings sesame noodles from a particular restaurant. Butcher threatens her, warning that if they don't find Compound V soon, a compromising video of her will end up on the internet. Fortunately for Poplo, Frenchie, Huey, and Mother's Milk spot a suspicious man carrying a bag and a gun. They follow him through Chinatown, weaving through back alleys and restaurants, eventually leading them to a basement. It's clear something illicit is happening. While Mother's Milk frantically searches for Compound V, Frenchie notices a TV playing music in a cell and sees a woman hiding under a table. She seems like a prisoner. Despite Mother's Milk's insistence to stick to the plan, Frenchie frees her. Soldiers immediately rush in, shouting in their native tongue not to release her. The woman, revealed to be a deadly combatant, slaughters nearly everyone. Before she can turn on Frenchie, Huey, and Mother's Milk, they lock themselves in a cell and call Billy for help. The team questions who this mysterious girl is, but they find a clue, a burnt train ticket. More importantly, they locate Compound V. Meanwhile, Huey gets a text from Starlight, reminding him of their planned date. Given his recent harrowing experiences, he hesitates. However, Billy insists he goes to bug her phone, despite Huey's protests that Starlight is different from the other superheroes. Reluctantly, Huey agrees to the date. As Huey prepares for his date, Frenchie searches for the escaped girl, and Mother's Milk tries to trace the origin of Compound V. Simultaneously, Madeline Stillwell seizes an opportunity to push her agenda of integrating superheroes into the military. A hijacked plane bound for Paris offers the perfect crisis. Since the plane is over the Atlantic, Homelander and Queen Maeve intervene. They eliminate the hijackers, but a final assailant in the cockpit shoots the pilot. Homelander's retaliatory laser beams damage the plane, sending it into a nosedive. Realizing the passengers are doomed, Homelander reassures them while planning his escape. Queen Maeve suggests saving at least some of the passengers, but Homelander refuses, fearing survivors would reveal their failure. The plane crashes into the ocean, and Homelander uses the disaster as a PR stunt. He blames the military's refusal to involve superheroes for the tragedy, manipulating the media to support his cause. Queen Maeve, furious and guilt-ridden, watches helplessly as Homelander spins the narrative. Meanwhile, the Deep seeks therapy, lamenting that he's only seen as Fish Boy. Frustrated by Madeline Stillwell's indifference to his concerns about animal abuse by a sponsor, he takes matters into his own hands. Attempting to rescue a dolphin, his plan goes awry when he's forced to brake suddenly, causing the dolphin to be ejected from the car and run over. Back in Chinatown, A-Train discovers the police swarming the smuggling operation and rushes to Poplo, demanding to know who she told. Though she denies leaking information, A-Train decides it's too dangerous for her to stay and plans to move her to a safe location. Butcher, Huey, Mother's Milk, and Frenchie continue their search for the escaped girl, who seeks vengeance on those who smuggled her. She brutally murders a nail salon manager believed to be her captor. The team realizes they are on the right track when they see A-Train at the scene. Knowing he's incredibly fast, they race against time to find her first. Using the train ticket clue, they head to a train station. The team splits up and Frenchie, armed with gas to knock her out, finds her in an electronics store. He attempts to talk her down, but a sudden noise spooks her and she flees. Mother's Milk berates Frenchie, accusing him of endangering them with his impulsiveness, reminiscent of a past incident where disobedience led to their former boss's family being killed by Lamplighter. Butcher delivers a unifying speech, likening the team to the Spice Girls, powerful together, useless apart. They track the girl to a train platform. She spots them and runs. A train captures her, beating her until Frenchie's quick thinking diverts attention, allowing her to escape. Afterwards, Billy uses gas to finally subdue her. Meanwhile, Hughie and Starlight go bowling on their date. Despite her claims of being mediocre, she impresses Hughie with her skills. She shares a story from high school about her powers scaring off a boy she liked. Their conversation deepens and Hughie, though genuinely liking her, wiretaps her phone while she's in the bathroom. During their date, they see an ad for a Christian festival where Starlight and Homelander will appear, led by Ezekiel, a hypocritical anti-gay preacher. Starlight plans to donate her earnings to charity, proving her difference. This event becomes crucial as Mother's Milk's contact discovers that Compound V is linked to Ezekiel's organization. The episode opens in Cuba, where Popclaw is hiding out, drowning her sorrows in drugs. Her solitude is broken when a train arrives with news that Madeline Stillwell is willing to let their relationship go public. But there's a catch. He needs to know exactly who she told about Compound V. Under pressure, Popclaw spills the beans about Billy and the others, although she knows little more than their appearances. Once A-Train gets the information he needs, he regretfully injects her with a lethal overdose of. It's a cold-blooded murder ordered by Homelander, making her death look like an accidental overdose. Back at the office, A-Train reports the mission's completion to Homelander. Yet, Homelander's concern shifts towards A-Train's possible addiction to Compound V. A-Train insists he already quit cold turkey, but the sincerity of his claim remains dubious, especially in the shadow of Popclaw's tragic fate. He heads to Popclaw's apartment, drowning in guilt, watching old tapes of them together. In one, he catches a glimpse of Billy's voice and Frenchie's face. With this lead, he takes Frenchie's image to Vought's IT team, who identify Frenchie and his many addresses. Now, A-Train has a target in his sights. Meanwhile, Frenchie is busy tending to the Asian girl they chained up. Playing the good cop, he prepares her a nice dinner and tries to communicate, but his efforts are met with hostility. While Frenchie is focused on gaining her trust, he remains unaware that people are hunting him down. At the Believe Expo, Billy, Mother's Milk, and Hughie arrive where Homelander and Starlight are scheduled to appear. Starlight, feeling nostalgic, sees this as an opportunity to reconnect with her roots, accompanied by Hughie. She shares with him her childhood memories of attending such events with her mother, feeling a sense of comfort amidst familiar faces. However, her primary duty remains publicity for the Seven, pulling her away and leaving Hughie to meet up with Billy and Mother's Milk. While Starlight is busy with her duties, Billy and Mother's Milk scope out the heavily guarded venue, targeting Ezekiel, a key figure they need to reach. Ezekiel's infamy includes sordid activities at a seedy nightclub, making him a valuable source of information. Their plan hinges on Hughie, who, thanks to his connection with Starlight, might gain them access to the VIP area. Hughie hesitates, fearing it will look suspicious to ask Starlight for such a favor so early in their relationship. Yet, with no other choice, he approaches her, nervously requesting entry to the $15,000 VIP event. Starlight, suspicious and hurt, reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, Homelander and Queen Maeve are dealing with the aftermath of a plane crash vigil. Maeve, guilt-ridden over her inability to save the passengers, leaves early to drown her sorrows. She seeks solace at an ex-girlfriend's house, but the encounter is brief and painful, leaving her more distraught. Homelander, after the vigil, heads to the expo, eager to discuss his speech with Madeline Stillwell. Finding her absent, he confronts her during her son's doctor appointment. Despite his insistence on delivering a provocative speech, Madeline orders him to stick to the script. Frustrated by her conservatism, Homelander decides to give the speech he wants, aiming to rouse the crowd's fervor. At the expo, Starlight faces a dilemma during a youth group discussion. Pressure to give the correct answers about premarital. She struggles with the hypocrisy of her public persona. Her mother's insistence on maintaining the facade only adds to her inner conflict, especially as she suspects Hughie of using her. Billy's day takes a detour when he receives a call from his ex-wife's sister, informing him of a planned memorial for his missing wife. Devastated by the thought of giving up hope, he destroys the gravestone and returns to the expo. Inside the expo, Hughie seizes the chance to confront Ezekiel. After being baptized by Homelander, a tense and nearly violent ritual, Hughie approaches Ezekiel. His phone, ruined by the water, forces him to bluff, claiming Ezekiel slept with him and threatening to expose a scandalous video. Terrified, Ezekiel offers money, but Hughie demands information about Compound V. Under pressure, Ezekiel reveals that Compound V is distributed to hospitals nationwide, with the next shipment headed to a NICU unit. Billy and Mother's Milk, armed with this new intel, rush to the NICU and discover Vought's sinister operations. Babies are being injected with Compound V, turning them into superheroes. After a brief altercation with security, they secure proof of Vought's nefarious activities. Back at the expo, Starlight reaches her breaking point during her speech. Abandoning the script, she denounces the hypocrisy around her and nearly exposes the Deep's misconduct. Her raw honesty shocks the audience, leaving them in stunned silence. Only Hughie claps, following her to express his admiration, but their reconciliation is fraught with tension over his earlier deception. As the group regroups, Frenchie gets a call. Black Noir and A-Train are closing in on him. Billy orders Frenchie to flee, but he refuses to abandon the girl. When she escapes, Frenchie tries to evade capture, only to be ambushed by Black Noir. A fierce fight ensues, and just as Black Noir seems poised to kill Frenchie, the girl intervenes. Despite her valiant effort, Black Noir overpowers and kills her. Grieving, Frenchie places his coat over her body, but to his astonishment, she regenerates, her superpower bringing her back to life. In the next episode, the superheroes' backstories are seen through a new reality show. Though it's essentially propaganda aimed at passing a bill, it offers insights into the superheroes' hardships and origins. All the superheroes participate, except for Starlight, who has been keeping a low profile since the debacle at the Believe Expo. The fiasco results in the PR girl who organized the event getting fired. Starlight learns about this as she walks into Madeline Stillwell's office and sees the disgruntled PR girl leaving, blaming Starlight for her termination. When Starlight meets with Madeline, she's met with hostility. Madeline attempts to belittle her, calling her a perpetual child and telling her to wake up. However, Starlight stands her ground, refusing to do red carpets, reality TV, or commercials, and demands her old uniform back. Madeline is taken aback and threatens to remove Starlight from the Seven. Starlight counters, warning that firing her would tank their stock price, especially after her public admission of workplace harassment. Madeline feigns ignorance, but Starlight presses on, knowing Madeline understands. With newfound confidence, Starlight is difficult to bully. As she leaves, she encounters Queen Maeve, who sarcastically remarks about Starlight milking the situation. Starlight retorts that she once believed everything in Maeve's autobiography, only to realize it was all fabricated by the PR firm. This interaction signifies a shift in Starlight's perspective, showing her growing disillusionment with the Seven and the superficial world of superhero fame. Due to the harassment claims, Madeline Stillwell must address the Deep situation. She summons him and explains the plan. He must make a heartfelt apology and then take a hiatus from the Seven. Initially, the Deep thinks this is about the dolphin incident, but Madeline clarifies it's about Starlight. He begs her to handle it differently, but she insists, informing him he'll be sent to Sandusky, Ohio. The Deep, realizing the gravity of his situation, reluctantly agrees, understanding that his career is at a low point. While the Deep is being sidelined, the rest of the Seven are busy filming the reality show. Homelander, visiting his supposed childhood home, is portrayed as having had a typical upbringing. However, he loses his temper upon seeing a blue blanket. He fires the person responsible and vents his frustration to Madeline, explaining how upsetting it is to be shown pictures of strangers and told they are his parents. Madeline comforts him and seduces him, reinforcing their bizarre relationship. Homelander eventually performs for the cameras, reminiscing about his mother making him a baseball cake. As soon as the filming ends, he storms off. It was then learned that Homelander's outburst was triggered by memories of growing up in a lab surrounded by doctors. The blue blanket reminded him of that time, highlighting the stark contrast between the reality of his upbringing and the fabricated story presented to the public. The other superheroes' backstories are less dramatic. A-Train discovered his powers when he outran a bullet in a neighborhood shooting. Meanwhile, Queen Maeve has an awkward encounter with her ex-girlfriend during filming. These scenes gave deeper understanding of the personal struggles and complexities of the superheroes, showing that their lives are not as glamorous as they seem. Mother's Milk discovers that Vought has been distributing Compound V to hospitals disguised as polio vaccines since the 60s, essentially creating superheroes. With this information, they prepare to expose Vought. Hughie and Billy head off, while Mother's Milk suggests using a superhero named Mesmer to help communicate with the Asian girl who isn't speaking. Mesmer, who can read minds by touch, agrees to help in exchange for supervised visits with his estranged daughter. At a Comic-Con-style event, Mother's Milk finds Mesmer, who is touched by the story he sees in Mother's Milk's mind. They arrange for Mesmer to read the Asian girl's mind. Despite her initial panic, Mesmer discovers she was taken as a child and forced to become a soldier for a terrorist group. This revelation shocks the team as they realize the extent of Vought's operations. They come to understand that Vought might be creating supervillains overseas and bringing them to the States to justify their existence. Billy takes this information to the deputy director, demanding not just to bring down Vought, but also to ensure Homelander is prosecuted. When she can't guarantee this, Billy leaves, planning to take down Vought on their own. He returns to the safe house, claiming the deputy director got cold feet, but Mother's Milk doubts his story. This scene highlights the tension within the group and Billy's relentless pursuit of justice, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, Hughie is on a date with Starlight. Billy crashes the date, reprimanding Hughie for getting close to a superhero. Hughie insists Starlight is different and can help, but Billy remains skeptical, warning about the consequences if she discovers they killed Translucent. Despite Hughie's genuine feelings for Starlight, the danger of their relationship becomes increasingly apparent. Even though Mesmer hates Vought for firing him, he decides to betray them to regain favor. He meets with Homelander on a rooftop, providing information about the group. A French guy, a black guy, and a bearded man. Desperate to rejoin Vought, Mesmer asks to be one of the good guys again. Homelander takes the phone, looks at Mesmer, and flies off, leaving Mesmer's fate uncertain. This act of betrayal confirms the desperation of Mesmer's character, showing the lengths he is willing to go to reclaim his former status. The episode ends on a cliffhanger, leaving questions on how the team will handle the looming threat of Vought and the newly discovered supervillains. Hughie and Starlight's relationship deepened. He takes her to a luxurious hotel where they share an intimate evening. As they lay together afterwards, Starlight's curiosity gets the best of her as to why he can't take her to his own place. He confessed his ongoing drama about his father. Seeking reassurance, Starlight presses, "I need to know this is a nice thing and not a red flag." Hughie promised that he will introduce her to his father eventually. They share laughters and the tension momentarily eased. The next day, the mood shifts dramatically as Starlight is summoned to a meeting with the Seven. As she enters the meeting room, she finds Homelander, the Deep, Queen Maeve, and Black Noir already assembled. The atmosphere is tense, thick with unspoken accusations. Homelander wastes no time, revealing that he has identified who visited Mesmer's house. He dramatically projects a picture of Hughie onto the board, causing Starlight to recoil in shock. She demanded why he was there even though her voice was trembling. Homelander, with a smug satisfaction, explains that Hughie is using her to get back at A-Train for killing his girlfriend. He then accuses Hughie of killing Translucent, a claim that Starlight denies having any knowledge of. Homelander, sensing her disbelief, is about to snap when Queen Maeve unexpectedly comes to Starlight's defense. This intervention causes Homelander to momentarily back off, but not without a parting shot. He warns Maeve about doing favors, leaving Starlight bewildered and questioning Hughie's true intentions. Meanwhile, back at their safe house, Hughie is struggling with his own dilemmas. He tells the group that he wants up, prompting a heated confrontation with Billy, who told him the only reason he doesn't have interest in doing this anymore is because he's dating a soup, referring to Starlight. The argument escalates, voices rising and tempers flaring, until it eventually subsides, leaving a strained silence in its wake. Suddenly, Hughie's phone rings. It's a call from his dad's house, but the voice on the other end is not his father's. It's A-Train who threatens to kill his dad if Hughie doesn't come alone. The gravity of the situation sinks in, and Hughie knows he has no choice but to comply. Following A-Train's instructions, Hughie arrives at his dad's house, tension radiating from him. His dad, sensing something is off, warns him, "This guy's not acting right. He's hopped up on something." A-Train appears astonished that Hughie came alone and sneers, "Always have a backup plan." Hughie reveals his own backup, a syringe of Compound V. Though A-Train tries to feign ignorance, he panics as Hughie starts to squirt the substance. Hughie bargains by promising more Compound V if only he'd let his father go. A-Train, realizing he has no leverage, releases Hughie's dad. Now alone with A-Train, Hughie taunts him that Compound V must be pretty good if it's worth running through a human being for. A-Train, defensive and agitated, claims that it was an accident. He added that he lost someone too, pertaining to Pop Lol. A-Train shifts the blame onto Hughie, accusing him of the calculated actions that led to her death, despite it being A-Train's own doing. Out of nowhere, Kimiko, the Asian girl introduced in a previous episode, intervenes, breaking A-Train's leg. Meanwhile, the rest of the group, realizing they've been compromised, rushes to secure their families. Mother's Milk gathers his family and Hughie's dad, and they all head to the safe house, their minds racing with the unfolding events. Homelander, increasingly suspicious of Madeline Stillwell, confronts her about a missing PR girl who is actually Billy's wife. Recognizing Billy from photos, Homelander recalls meeting him and his wife at a holiday party. Madeline, caught off guard, denies any knowledge of her whereabouts, but Homelander remains unconvinced. He flies off to confront the doctor who raised him, seeking answers. The doctor reveals a shocking truth. Homelander had impregnated Becca Butcher, Billy's wife, who then disappeared to have the baby in secret. The birth was fatal for Becca, and the baby also died shortly after. This explains why Billy believes Homelander her, because the CIA missiled him with a video of Becca leaving. Driven by vengeance, Billy tracks down Mesmer, who had betrayed them. Despite Mesmer's desperate plea to help find Becca, Billy is unmoved and kills him. Returning to the safe house, Billy contacts the deputy director of the CIA to strike a deal for the safety of everyone's families, using Compound V as leverage. The CIA demands that Madeline Stillwell halt the bill to privatize superheroes in the military or face exposure. During the CIA's meeting with Madeline, they receive chilling footage of a super terrorist, validating Vought's creation of supervillains to justify their superheroes. This revelation shifts the dynamics, exposing the lengths Vought will go to maintain their power. Climax was felt as Hughie meets Starlight in the park where they first met. Starlight, a heart heavy with betrayal, demands answers. Hughie, struggling to explain, reveals Vought's secret about Compound V, but Starlight, feeling deeply betrayed, repeatedly questions his motives. She asked him if he really killed Translucent, and if he only used her to get back at A-Train. Her voice was breaking. Hughie, trying to convey the bigger picture, says, "This isn't about Translucent or A-Train. This is about Compound V." He explains that Vought has been injecting babies with Compound V since the 60s, debunking the myth that they were blessed by God. Starlight, her world unraveling, insists that they have been blessed by God. Their confrontation is abruptly interrupted when Starlight is shot by Billy Butcher, who shouts at Hughie to run. Despite his initial hesitation and his desperate apologies to Starlight, Hughie flees. It's worth noting that while Starlight appears to survive, she is seriously injured, leaving her future uncertain. 6 weeks after the dramatic events, the landscape has shifted dramatically as the US government. They finally have given the green light for superheroes to be integrated into military operations. This decision, however, raises serious questions about security and oversight, particularly regarding how terrorists managed to obtain Compound V, the superpower-inducing substance that Vought had kept under tight wraps. For Vought, this new phase promises unprecedented profits and power. The corporation is gearing up for a lucrative era where their superheroes will be on the front lines of global conflicts. This prospect of militarizing superheroes is a dream come true for Vought. However, for Billy Butcher and his ragtag group, it spells deepening trouble. Billy finds himself holed up in a nondescript hotel room with the rest of his team. They're laying low, trying to regroup after the chaotic events involving Translucent and their tenuous alliance with Starlight. The fragile peace they had managed to secure is shattered when the deputy director of a government agency knocks on their door. His news is devastating. The Department of Justice has backtracked on their deal and now considers Billy and his crew as criminals. The action they took against Translucent has been labeled vigilant justice, undermining their efforts and putting them squarely in the crosshairs of law enforcement. Billy, frustrated and desperate, paces the room as he contemplates their next move. They are tantalizingly close to taking down Homelander and the corrupt system he represents, but now they are hunted prey. The deputy director's visit forces Billy's hand. He knows they need a new strategy, one that strikes at the heart of Vought's power. In a risky move, Billy decides to seek counsel from an unlikely source, his former boss, a woman who lost her grandchildren to a superhero-related tragedy involving Lamplighter. She's a bitter reminder of the collateral damage caused by those with superhuman abilities, Yet she's also someone who harbors a deep-seated resentment towards Vought and its operatives. Reluctantly, she agrees to meet Billy, though her skepticism is palpable. Their meeting is tense. Billy lays out their predicament, emphasizing the need to dismantle Vought's leadership, especially Homelander. The woman, whose grief has hardened into a steely resolve, listens intently. Despite her personal vendetta, she warns Billy that Homelander is not easily toppled. His power is vast, and his vulnerabilities carefully concealed. However, she offers a glimmer of hope. Madeleine Stillwell, Vought's formidable executive, might hold the key to Homelander's undoing. If they can exploit her ambitions or uncover her secrets, they might find a chink in Homelander's armor. Meanwhile, as Billy strategizes, a team of mercenaries storms the hotel. The attack is swift and brutal. Kimiko, Frenchie, and Mother's Milk are captured, leaving Billy and Hughie reeling. Billy's instincts kick in. He assesses the situation with cold precision, recognizing that staying put means certain death or capture. Hughie, torn between loyalty to his friends and the urgency of their mission, hesitates. His heart pulls him back to the hotel, where his friends are in peril. Yet Billy's words echo in his mind. Their priority must be Homelander and dismantling Vought's power structure. Hughie's first move is bold and unexpected. He reaches out to Starlight. Their history is fraught with betrayal and pain, yet Hughie sees in her a potential ally. He appeals to her sense of justice, reminding her of the night she saved him in the bowling alley, a beacon of hope in his darkest hour. Despite Hughie's heartful plea, Starlight remains unmoved. The scars of their past run deep, and Starlight is unwilling to risk further entanglement with Billy's dangerous agenda. Undeterred, Hughie forges ahead with a new plan. He understands that time is running out. His friends' lives hang in the balance, and every moment counts. With steely determination, Hughie taps into his resourcefulness, drawing on the lessons learned from Billy and the resilience gained from his own trials. Meanwhile, in another corner of the superhero world, A-Train grapples with his own demons. Once the fastest man alive, A-Train's glory days are overshadowed by his physical and emotional decline. Kimiko's devastating blow to his leg has robbed him of his speed, relegating him to the sidelines of superhero stardom. His existence is now defined by struggle against his own body, against public indifference, and against the relentless pressure to reclaim his former status. A-Train's journey takes a dark turn when he faces blatant discrimination while shopping. Despite his attempts to assert his identity as a superhero, a security guard dismisses him as a mere imposter. It's a humiliating reminder of A-Train's fall from grace, a stark contrast to the adulation he once commanded. Driven by desperation, A-Train resorts to using Compound V once again. The drug, which once fueled his superhuman abilities, now offers a fleeting chance at redemption. His decision is fraught with risk and self-destruction, yet A-Train sees no alternative. His obsession with reclaiming his title as the fastest man alive blinds him to the dangers that Compound V poses to his fragile health. A-Train's reckless path does not go unnoticed. His brother, a voice of reason amidst the chaos of superhero politics, confronts him. He pleads with A-Train to abandon Compound V, warning of its catastrophic effects on his body. Their tense exchange lays bare the fractures in A-Train's psyche, torn between ambition and self-preservation. Back at the hotel, Hughie's plan unfolds with calculated precision. He orchestrates his capture by Black Ops, knowing that his sacrifice is the key to saving his friends. The Black Ops team seizes him, throwing him into a cell with Frenchie and Mother's Milk. It's a high-stakes gamble, but Hughie trusts in his comrades' skills and resilience. Inside the cell, tension mounts as they devise a daring escape plan. Frenchie, with his expertise in unconventional tactics, uses a hidden retainer to their advantage. The makeshift tool becomes their lifeline, a symbol of ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. Together, they break free, navigating through a labyrinth of corridors and hidden passages. Their reunion is short-lived as they realize Kimiko is still missing. The urgency of their mission intensifies, driving them deeper into enemy territory. Armed with determination and a fierce loyalty to their cause, they confront Black Ops operatives, their battle-hardened resolve tested to its limits. In the midst of the firefight, tragedy strikes. Frenchie, the irrepressible spirit of their group, takes a bullet. The impact is swift and merciless, leaving him gravely wounded. Kimiko, battered and bruised, her injuries are severe. Meanwhile, Starlight emerges as an unexpected beacon of hope. Her path intersects with theirs at a pivotal moment, her allegiance torn between duty and personal conviction. At a lavish Christmas party hosted by Vought, Starlight navigates the treacherous waters of corporate politics and personal integrity. Amidst the glittering facade of power and privilege, Starlight confronts Queen Maeve, a fellow superhero burdened by her own moral dilemmas. Their exchange is tinged with tension and unspoken truths, a reflection of the complex dynamics within the Seven and their uneasy alliance with Vought. As the night unfolds, tensions reach a boiling point. Homelander, the enigmatic leader of the Seven, makes a dramatic entrance. His presence casts a shadow over the festivities, his piercing gaze a reminder of the power he wields within Vought and beyond. A private conversation between Madelyne and Homelander reveals unsettling truths. They discuss the implications of Vought's military contract and the unforeseen consequences of their actions. Madelyne's facade cracks under Homelander's scrutiny, revealing glimpses of vulnerability beneath her steely exterior. Their exchange takes a dark turn as Homelander confronts Madelyne about Becca Butcher, Billy's wife. Meanwhile, Butcher learned that Madelyne might be Homelander's greatest weakness and so he took her as hostage, putting C4 bombs around her. The revelation sends shockwaves through the room, a reminder of the tangled web of secrets and lies that entangle them all. Madelyne's carefully constructed world unravels as Homelander's accusations cut deep, exposing fractures in their alliance. In a moment of brutal honesty, Homelander lays bare his grievances. His voice is laced with bitterness and resentment, a reflection of the betrayal he feels at Madelyne's hands. Homelander, not playing fair, brings Madelyne's baby to the standoff and reveals that it isn't he that killed his wife but rather Madelyne. This complicates stuff between them. Homelander then lasered through Madelyne's eyes and no amount of having a mother like Martha is gonna get Butcher out of it. So he sets off the C4 attached to Madelyne, but unfortunately for him, Homelander is too fast to save him out of it. He woke up in a place that revealed his wife and Homelander's son are both alive. The ending went with a lot of questions as Homelander revealed that he is the father of Butcher's wife's son.